Dr. Elena Rossi's footsteps echoed through the empty gallery, her heels clicking against the polished floor. As the museum's new curator, she relished these quiet moments before opening when it was just her and the art. She paused before the towering landscape that dominated the blue wall, studying the sweeping brushstrokes that brought the mountains to life. That painting had been in the museum's reserve for decades, and she had decided to show it. She liked it, and yet something about it nagged at her. The piece was beautiful, certainly, but it lacked the spark she'd expect from an artist of Jameson's caliber. Elena leaned closer, her nose nearly touching the canvas. There, in the corner, was that a glint of something beneath the paint? Her heart raced as she carefully lifted the frame from the wall. It was heavier than she expected, and as she set it down, she noticed a slight gap between the canvas and the frame backing. With trembling fingers, Elena pried at the edge. The backing came away easily, revealing another canvas beneath. Her breath caught in her throat. The hidden painting was smaller, fitting neatly behind the landscape. But even at first glance, Elena knew she was looking at something extraordinary. The brushwork was delicate, yet confident, the colors vibrant despite years of concealment. It depicted a woman, her face turned away, standing before an easel. The studio around her was a whirlwind of color and motion, as if the very act of creation had been captured on canvas. "Incredible," Elena whispered. "It's a lost Vivian Loire." Loire had been a contemporary of Jameson's, a prodigy whose career was cut tragically short. She'd vanished at the height of her fame, leaving behind only a handful of celebrated works and countless rumors. Elena's mind raced. How had this painting ended up hidden behind a Jameson? And more importantly, what should she do now? The responsible thing would be to report the discovery immediately. It would be the coup of her career, a lost masterpiece by one of the most enigmatic artists of the 20th century. But as she gazed at the painting, a different impulse took hold. This wasn't just a valuable artwork. It was a piece of history, a window into the life of an artist who'd fascinated Elena since her college days. Before she could second-guess herself, Elena snapped a photo of the painting with her phone. Then, carefully, she resealed the backing and rehung the landscape. That evening, long after the museum had closed, Elena sat in her apartment, staring at the photo. The more she looked, the more convinced she became of its authenticity. The style was unmistakably Loire's, but there was something raw and intimate about this piece that set it apart from the artist's known works. Elena stopped on the easel in the painting. The canvas depicted there was blank, but there was a sense of potential energy, as if Loire had captured the moment just before inspiration struck. Driven by a mix of professional curiosity and personal obsession, Elena dove into research. She pored over old exhibition catalogs, artists' journals, and obscure art history texts. Weeks passed in a blur of coffee-fueled nights and bleary-eyed mornings. It was in a dusty volume of collected letters that she found her first real clue. A correspondence between Jameson and Loire, dated just weeks before her disappearance. "My dearest V, I fear you're right. The world isn't ready for your truth, but I cannot bear the thought of your passion being stifled. Send me your heart on canvas, and I'll keep it safe until the day comes when it can shine freely. Yours always, J." Elena's hands shook as she read the words. Had Loire entrusted her most personal work to Jameson for safekeeping? And if so, were there more hidden paintings out there? The responsible part of her knew she should report her findings. The painting belonged to the museum, regardless of how it had been acquired. But another part of her, the part that had fallen in love with art as a young girl, couldn't bear the thought of Loire's intimate work being subjected to the scrutiny of the art world before its story was fully understood. Weeks turned into months. Elena's obsession grew, even as she maintained a facade of normalcy at work. She traced Loire's movements in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, cross-referencing them with Jameson's known whereabouts. She reached out to aging artists and critics who had known the pair, piecing together a picture of a relationship far more complex than the historical record suggested. It was Loire's niece, now in her 70s, who provided the final piece of the puzzle. Over tea, in a sunlit garden, she shared a story passed down through the family. Aunt Vivian always said that true art was a conversation between the artist and the viewer, the old woman mused. She believed that sometimes the world wasn't ready to hear what an artist had to say. So she and Julian, that's Jameson, came up with a plan. She would paint her truth, and he would hide it in plain sight, beneath his own works. A secret gallery, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. Elena's mind reeled. Not just one painting, but an entire hidden collection? The implications were enormous. As she left the niece's home, Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She held not just the key to a lost masterpiece, but to an entire hidden chapter of art history. The next morning, Elena strode into the museum director's office, her heart pounding but her resolve firm. It was time to bring Loire's hidden gallery into the light. In the weeks that followed, as news of the discovery sent shockwaves through the art world, Elena often found herself standing before the now-revealed Loire. The woman at the easel seemed to be smiling now, as if pleased that her secret had finally been shared. Elena realized that she too was smiling. In uncovering Loire's hidden masterpiece, she had discovered something within herself, a passion for the stories behind the art and the courage to bring those stories to light. As visitors flocked to see the newly discovered works, Elena felt a sense of completion. Loire's conversation with the world could finally continue, and she had played a part in making it happen. It was the masterpiece she had been waiting her whole career to discover.